When I mention the word headache, I'm sure so many of you sit up and listen and say, oh, help me, because I really suffer from them. Well, let's hope we can. Headache specialists around the world gathered at the Migraine World Summit for a free online event for migraine sufferers. Their aim was to provide information to the public and also come up with new ways in which head pains can be treated better. Well, in studio with us, Dr. Elliot Shevel from the Headache Clinic in Johannesburg was a speaker at the summit, and he joins us for a little bit more. It's always good to see you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Leanne.
How was the summit?
It was very, very interesting. And, you know, the thing that was different from this one was it was aimed at the public. Most medical conferences are the doctors get together and they discuss things and they have lectures. This was specifically put out there so that the public, the headache sufferers the world over, could actually see what are the latest advances, what's going on in the headache world, and if there are any changes or any improvements.
Yeah,
so that was exciting.
Well, I suppose that's what we want to find out. I mean, are there any changes, improvements? I mean, what are some of the things that are being done to help sufferers of these headaches?
Well, as you know from previous experience, we have the reason they invited me was because of my different approach to normal. Instead of sitting across the table just handing out pills.
Yeah.
I've developed ways of diagnosing where the pain comes from and then treating the pain at its source. So we got a wonderful response. My email was almost blocked from the response because people really appreciated the fact that there was some way of helping.
Talk to us again. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people perhaps are listening to this for the first time and finding out what it is that you do and how you help migraine sufferers. When you say going to the source of the headache, how does it work? What do you do?
Well, one has to diagnose where the pain is coming from. It's always coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's almost never comes from the brain. In 99% of cases, it comes from the structures on the outside of the head, the muscles of the jaws and neck, or the arteries in the skin. And I've developed ways of treating the muscles and the arteries. So we can actually make people permanently pain-free without the use of medication,
sure,
which is terrific. And slowly we're getting recognized.
Yeah, it's a big deal because, I mean, you know, the reality is that that's what people depend on. It's just you take one tablet after the next tablet after the next tablet to try and get rid of this headache. But there are some people that can suffer migraines for days, which is debilitating.
We just had a lady out from England who spent some time here. She had attempted suicide before she came, and her family in desperation brought her out. She left yesterday and she's headache free.
Wow.
And she's a different person. You cannot believe even the look on her face.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
How many people have you actually done the procedure on now? I suppose it's a difficult question to answer. You stopped counting a while ago.
I stopped counting at about 1,000.
So this is popular. People are doing it, and it's helping. The feedback that you're having?
The feedback is great. Look, you know, like everything in medicine, we do get our failures, but we get the best results in the world. Nobody can match the results, simply because the methodology is driven by logic.
Is anyone else doing it elsewhere in the world?
Well, last year, Professor Spearings from Harvard University and a colleague of his from Holland came out, and they spent a week with me, and they're now trying to set up a unit in Holland to do the same work, but it takes a long time.
Yeah.
But it's a thin end of the wedge. At least people are starting to think. And then another professor came out from Mexico last year in September, spent a week with me. So it's starting.
The actual procedure itself, is it very invasive? How does it work? How long does it take?
The arterial surgery is what we call minimally invasive. These arteries are in the skin. So it's nothing to do with the brain.
Yeah.
People always say, oh, surgery on the head, you know, the brain. It's just under the skin, these arteries.
Yeah.
So depending on how many there are, it can take from an hour to 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And the patient goes home the same day.
Which is a bonus. Cost, though, because the majority of South Africans, you know, they can't afford a lot of these procedures to be done. You know, so do medical aids pay for it? Do they? And if you're not on a medical aid, what do you do? Any advice on that?
It's difficult. Some medical aids pay part or some of the fees. Others pay nothing. So we try and help people when we can.
Yeah.
We have our own theatre, so they don't have to pay the large fees at the hospitals. So we do our best to help.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, that's a good thing. So people must just get hold of the headache clinic, and that's where you are in Johannesburg here. The difference between a migraine and a headache, and I think that's one of those things we need to come to terms with. What is the difference?
You know, Leanne, the basic difference is the severity of the pain. Doctors will say, oh, the migraine is from the arteries and the headache is from the muscles. But most people have got a bit of both, and the more severe the pain, the more migraine symptoms one has, like nausea and vomiting, light sensitivity, sound sensitivity. But they're not different animals.
Yeah, yeah. Can you prevent yourself from getting headaches and migraines? Is there anything you can do, or is it just it's in your makeup and there's nothing you can do to stop it?
It is in your makeup, but some people have triggers that they can identify. Not everybody, only a few. For instance, somebody might say, if I have chocolate, I get a headache. Well, then they must stay away from chocolate, yeah. Unfortunately, or red wine, or mature cheese.
Yeah.
But that's only if you have a trigger that you can identify. Other than that, you can't do anything.
Okay, so not everyone has that trigger. Dr. Shevel, thank you so much for talking to us here. In order to get hold of the headache clinic, your telephone number or email, what's the best way to get hold of you?
The best way is the phone number is 0861
0861
678
yeah
911.
911 0861 678 911. That's the number for the headache clinic. Give them a call. You know, it's something that you don't want to suffer with for any longer. So hopefully this is your chance to have a headache-free life from here on. Dr. Shevel, as I've said, it's a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for joining us. Dr. Elliot Shevel, MD, the headache clinic and migraine surgery pioneer, who's just spoken at a World Migraine Summit that was taking place online. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Lee.